Thank you and welcome to our session, expanding the network insights into the market, or let's say maybe in other organizations. Our system partners are actually like-minded organizations like us as DGNB who believe in the same philosophy of what sustainability should be in the holistic approach, in life cycle assessment, life cycle costing as very important elements of that transformation. But they all do so much more. So I'm very happy to welcome this morning, and it's always so great to see everyone. So it's always difficult to concentrate that we have an audience because, you know, there are so many things I would like to ask. Maksym is here from the Ukrainian Green Building Council. Sanela is here from the Bosnia and Herzegovina Green Building Council. And Tanjja is here from the Croatian Green Building Council. So good morning to all of you. It's so great to see you. And we will kick off that session that each of you will give an introduction to your organization, to your market, to your motivation, challenges. So you kick that off with your impulse. And then we have a round of discussion where I can ask all the things I always wanted to ask you. So, so we're going to start, I think, with Maksym, right? I have to check.
Okay.
Or?
Okay. Good morning.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I have two different lists and they're, so yes, Maksym, your last name, you have to help me always with that because we never call each other with our last names. Maksym is the CEO of the Ukrainian Green Building Council, I would say. Very dedicated in all these challenges you're facing in your country. You keep the idea of sustainability, of rebuilding your country alive, and you think about the future. So we're very happy you're here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Christine. My name, yes, Maksym Kryvosheiev, and for me it's an honor to represent Ukrainian Green Building Council today here at DGNB Congress, and I will try to share my screen with presentation.
Yeah, it's here. We can see it.
Great. So Ukrainian Green Building Council, we are like almost every other green building council in world member of World GBC, and we are non-profit and non-government organization, and we see ourselves as catalysts for driving and adoption of green practices and technologies across Ukraine by means green certification system application. Our vision, our big dream, it's Ukraine is a leading country in the field of green building, where a lot of buildings have such certification and infrastructure projects and so on. So our big dream is somewhere we need to achieve it. And our members at the moment, not so many of them, but you can see them on the screen. Anyway, I believe it is leading companies, experts, research engineers who are committed already at the moment to drive innovation and to drive green building in Ukraine. And if you check our neighbors, I mean Poland and Romania, for example, they have, we can say, hundreds of certified green building projects. And in Ukraine, we have much less. We see this as an opportunity because everything like this could be in Ukraine. It's like empty space which could be created. But of course, all circumstances in which we live and work, it's created even more difficult. Yes, and I want to illustrate this by art installation. It's like black cloud sculpture in the center of Kiev. It was in June 2025. And it's like emotional that we are walking in landscape which requires many, many changes. But environment really is difficult, both in terms of war against Ukraine and a not developed market. And I will come back to this in a minute. So that is why we, as Green Building Council, we finally stop worrying about green certification, about not so many projects. And we are building now, we are telling the story of resilience, predictions, and iteration, which we are writing right now today. We can quote a famous quote by Steve Brand, so that all buildings are predictions and all predictions are wrong. And that is why we believe certification is so important. We can minimize errors and bridge the gap between predictions and performance, real performance. And this black cloud, we have interesting story behind it after presentation in Ukraine. It was delivered to USA at famous festival Burning Man. And its process of its installation. And what happened next, directly after installation, it was deleted by weather. It was huge wind and very complicated conditions, and it simply do not exist right at the exhibition. And what Ukrainian artists have done, they converted the rest of it into no-fate installation. What we are trying to say here, and what is important both for market and for Ukraine now, that there is no fate but what we make. That's the core of what we are doing at the moment as people and as Ukrainian Green Building Council, because we want to create something which could not be, we cannot just prepare conditions and so on in such conditions that we have now in Ukraine and in the world. We can only shape this world. So how we shape it in green building market in Ukraine? Of course, DGNB partnership. We have integrated now new government structure. We have created board of directors. And three pillars we have in Ukraine. It's EU integration. We want to have policy influence and regulatory impact and market development, of course. And all this transformation to our existing landscape. That's how we can do this, through pilot projects and through international standards adaptation. That's what we are doing now, right now. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Happy to answer any questions. 1 minute more than I was asked. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Maksym. And it was a great presentation. I really like that art installation and the story behind it. So thank you very much. I think we will have some time later for our discussion round. So I'd like to hand over now to Sanela Klarić, one of the founders of the Green Building Council Bosnia and Herzegovina. Sanela, it's very nice to see you. You've been pushing green buildings for many years. You're teaching at the university. You're a member of the parliament, right, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So the floor is yours. Show us what you guys are doing.
Okay, thank you a lot. I'm also honored to be here today and as a system partner from Bosnia and Herzegovina to try to explain what is the environment in Bosnia and Herzegovina and how we actually working here. I will also share my screen and start with that. So the Green Building Council in Bosnia and Herzegovina existing since 2010, and in this moment, we have Matchmaker Center, the space where we're gathering and exchanging our experiences and knowledge with other people. And we are working as DGNB and other green building councils in the world on the program of the memberships, education, and also green certification. Because 6 members of the green building councils passed this DGNB Academy, and they are now DGNB certificated. Besides 6 of us, we also have 2 persons in Bosnia and Herzegovina external ones who also have obtained this certificate. So we, as I said, we are working since 2010 and as a non-government organization, and we are very well recognized in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the region with all the projects that we implemented. Even last, actually in 2024, we got a prize from European New Bauhaus competition as a public winner for the project here about sustainable architecture. So what we also want, addition to working on the interior design of our space, we also tried with the interior design to show how the waste could become the source. And working with the students, actually, we also were keen to all the visitors and people with partners also to show how also in the interior design we could use all those elements. And this is the opening ceremony where we gathered people from business, but also government, non-government organizations, experts, and we start now in the new office to actually discuss all these topics. We also have some partner organizations from other projects that we are implementing in this moment. And of course, in this Matchmaker Center, we are happy that we also had the ceremony once when we signed the contract in June with DGNB officially becoming this is the system partner in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And this is the moment when we actually start to open this Matchmaker Center to discuss with the people, to have a different workshops, not only about DGNB and green certification, but also about circular economy, about life cycle assessment, also discussing different topics about renewable energy sources, about circular economy and stuff. We also started some activities about the membership. We want to also discuss about that, who could become the member of the Green Building Council and what are the benefits of that. So we start to talk about all these elements, and we developed also the website where on the website you could find on English, also on Bosnian language, everything about green certification, about DGNB program, but also about memberships and how become the member. And also we start to, together with DGNB, but also GBC Croatia, we start to also talk about DGNB Academy and how together we could also educate people for the DGNB to become DGNB certificator. And now I will show you the results. We organized more than 15 info sessions where we discuss about membership, but also about academy. And the results are that people are very happy with the DGNB, and they are really think that they got a lot from that. But when we are talking about are they willing to become the members, then they are not so often in that. They still don't understand, and that's why we ask them: are they planning to become the members? But also, are they planning to have the trainings? Most of the people are telling like maybe, and that's why we realized that actually the major problem for the young people, because most of the young people would like to have training and become DGNB consultant. We understand that actually it's about the price. So in this moment, because the salaries in Bosnia and Herzegovina, especially for the engineers, are not enough for them to immediately pay full training in one installment. So that's why we will start to talk with the banks and see how we could help them by actually paying in the rates. And we also discuss with the companies how we actually will, because in this moment we still don't have any members officially. And that's why we're also thinking about how to establish the strong board and how that board will help us to reach members in the future. And this is the project as a pilot project for DGNB certification. It's the one kindergarten for the people with the special needs. And we are really proud that we are doing this green certification here. We also had trainings when Levan from DGNB also visited us. We together visited this building in use, and we started to also had trainings thanks to DGNB colleagues and colleagues from Croatia. Marko, especially from Croatia, with whom now we have regular online meetings discussing about this pilot project. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. So we are keen to continue. We understand that the environment in Bosnia and Herzegovina, it's not so welcome for some innovations. We also, by the legislations, we are not member of the EU, so by the legislations, we are not near to the standards to the EU, but we are pioneers here, and with great support from DGNB and Green Building Council Croatia, I'm sure, and our team is sure, that we will succeed.
Well, thank you very much. It's very inspiring, and I think we will have a few minutes after the next presentation to discuss the different challenges and maybe as well the culture of joining an organization as a member to do voluntary work. But I think very similar to Maksym, it's you used a lot, bringing people together, discussing things. So conversation is really the key. And what I really like, because it made it very easy for me to introduce our next speaker, you mentioned the Green Building Council Croatia several times. So it's not just that DGNB is working with the system partners like in one dimension, it's as well that our partners in that network start collaborate with each other, and sometimes we're involved, sometimes we're not. And I think the Green Building Council Croatia has done a great job. They're kind of now the oldest partner in this session. But they've been so supportive, I think, to Bosnia and Herzegovina. I know they're talking to Kosovo. They're really in the region trying to share knowledge, to support where they can. So I'm very happy to introduce Tanjja Mance. She's the Deputy Executive Director of the Green Building Council Croatia, and is as well coming from the private sector, working as a business consultant in Croatia. So Tanjja, it's very good to see you, and the floor is yours.
Hi, Christine. It's always a great pleasure to see you, even if in this virtual mode. And it is a pleasure to be part of this DGNB Annual Congress. It's very nice and a little bit weird to hear that we are the oldest DGNB system and country partner at the moment. That's good, because that means that there are new countries that are joining us into our partnership. And Sanela, thank you very much for the kind words and for our cooperation that we have. I will now share my screen. I don't think that I'm going to go very deep regarding our organization. I can only say that Green Building Council Croatia is also a membership-based organization, non-profit, established 15 years ago to promote sustainability in the built environment. We work with, of course, industry stakeholders, policymakers, and experts to advance green building practices through education, professional trainings, and EU-funded projects. As the DGNB system and country partner for Croatia, we support the implementation of sustainable building certification and, of course, contribute to the development of a more sustainable, resilient, and high-quality built environment. We think that is a very important part. As I already said, we are a membership organization. You can see on this slide, at the moment we have around 140 members from different sectors, manufacturers, developers, investors, designers, financial institutions, and I think that we are the biggest Green Building Council in this part of Southeastern Europe, and that's why it is our great pleasure to help our neighboring country regarding not only organization, membership, educational trainings, but of course with DGNB as well. So DGNB system in Croatia, I think, Christine, that we signed our partnership agreement 4 years ago. I think it was October 2021, if I remember correctly. Today, it wasn't an easy journey. It still isn't. At the moment, we have 27 projects in Croatia. Most of them are quite large buildings. Some of them can really be considered flagship projects, which we are really very proud of. The majority of these projects are commercial buildings, mainly office buildings, as well as tourism facilities such as hotels, campsites, resorts. We also have banks. They want to certify their buildings, shopping, retail centers, and there are some public buildings currently in the pipeline. On these few slides, you can see a few projects from Croatia that already received DGNB accreditation and certificate. So we are very proud regarding Valamar, Resort Island on Island Hvar with a gold certificate. It was very interesting here in Croatia because if we have international investors, then it's a little bit easier because they already understand and they are more keen to certificate their buildings, especially if they are doing that all around Europe. But we are very proud when we have local big investors. For example, Valamar is the biggest Croatian investor in hotels and resorts. So they decided that they will certificate by the DGNB system all of their projects. You can see here Erste Bank, Vineros Insurance, building, business centers, buildings in use, Matrix new building, City Center 1, this is retail, of course, more retails, and as I said, we have 27 projects here in Croatia and around 150 DGNB consultants. Over the past period, we have also established our own conformity check processes and training programs related to DGNB and EU taxonomy. However, we are still facing some challenges regarding auditors. There are simply not enough of them, and even though we have 150 accredited consultants, we still lack professionals who have both the knowledge and the confidence to step into this role. This number 150 is okay. It's very good base, but however, we have only a few auditors and most of them are still relatively new to the process. So that is our biggest challenge at the moment. This is from my part. I hope I did it in 5 minutes. That was allotted, but if you have any questions, I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much, Tanjja. Yeah, it was perfect. So we still have a few minutes. So I hope, we see everyone together now on the screen. Like I already said, after Sanela's presentation, and maybe, to each of you, I mean, you all talked about, bringing people together. And I think, Tanjja, you made a very good point between, business. It's a business opportunity as well like a transformational opportunity. How difficult is it to kind of get like the typical sustainability community, if you have that in your countries, on board? I mean, I remember when we started with DGNB, it was very similar. We started out of the commercial real estate sector and, started to expand. So coming from certification, but then you need to build the story around it and make people understand it is more than just a certificate. It's about the transformation. It's about content. And Tanjja, you just said maybe starting with you is still facing some challenges. You're a big organization in the region. I know you've been supporting the movement. It's always great to work with you guys, with Dejan, your CEO, who's, we're always like, hey, Dejan, we have an idea. And he's like, yeah, I'm in. So, but it's still challenging in your market.
Pushing forward, it is. Here in Croatia, we see interest in sustainable construction, but there are still several challenges. One of the biggest, as I already said, is capacity building. Very few auditors and many professionals are still gaining experience with certification process. Another challenge is, I would say, market awareness, helping investor developers understand, designers, that sustainable buildings are not only about environmental, let's say, responsibility, but also about long-term value and resilience. And this is where international networks like DGNB and GBCs are for us extremely valuable, because they help us share knowledge, good practices, and success stories across countries. Also, our advantages, and we are well known in Croatia for our training and educational programs. Per year, we have around 3,000 participants that not only for DGNB consultant trainings, but different conferences, online education and similar. So that is the way how we engage them in this topic, because everywhere we go, even if we are organizing something or we are partner at somebody else's panel session or organization that we are working closely, or we are doing presentation about indoor air quality, about life cycle assessment, about whole life carbon, DGNB is always in the center. So communicating and promoting is our best tool to see better results in the future, we think.
Thank you. Yeah, I think capacity building, Sanela, coming to you, because we signed the agreement and you started, we want people to train. So like, I mean, you're a teacher yourself. So is it because you said you're kind of still having the challenge in Bosnia and Herzegovina to make the case to join your organization as a member, and maybe just here to our audience, who's ever listening, you've now met 3 great people with great organizations, so please join them all as a member. But Sanela, is that a generational challenge maybe you have in Bosnia and Herzegovina? I mean, you have a lot of students. Are young people more open to sustainability? Is it for them more, we need to do that, and the older generation is like, we have other problems and, economic worries, and like in Germany, we have that saying, but I learned yesterday, it translates as well in the US very well. We've always done it this way. We've never done it this way. And then, sustainability might be something new, and then people are not, they don't know.
I think it's really good that we went out. So we had this 15 info sessions. So we learned a lot about, market. We learned a lot about directors of the companies and how they see the changes. Economically, this country is quite, in early development, if we're talking about. And people, if they don't push them by the law, or if they don't really clearly see how they could have the benefit, especially financial benefit, it's not easy. So we learn a lot from that directors are not ready to invest in education of their members and employees, but in the same time, the young employees would like to make the education. So we will concentrate on that, how to help young people. Also the language, because the education is in this moment is in English. It's a problem for the older generation, and it's not for the younger generation. In the same time, for the membership, I think we really need to have some strong, and as you invited already some international organizations and companies, we really need to have a couple of those very strong international organizations as the first partners, because probably then the companies will see and say as a prestige, we want to actually gather and to join them. So this is what we are now trying to do as well. And in the same time, we are also thinking, and thanks to your contact, that Lidl as a new company that is building now the buildings in Bosnia and Herzegovina, as a German also international company, that is also maybe the address where we could start with the green certification of the buildings on the site. We are also learning, as Tanjja said, it's also we are very new. The members of the Green Building Houses are very new in the green certification process. So we are learning a lot from you and from colleagues from Croatia, but still we are not strong and confident, to have many projects. So on the starting point, I think we are doing well, but we could do much, much better. And now we are also, we had some issues with some members of the Green Building Council in the same time, but we overcome that. We now have other very young people in the team. And we will, I think that it is good as I show you the results, all those results and enquetes that we did, they're showing us, what people think and where we could actually do something. And we will next week have a consultant meeting with some experts in the marketing and the selling. And we are hoping that with them, we will also develop and actually extend our business strategy, because we did develop the business strategy, but now we could really make some adaptations on the real market issues.
Okay.
And just to add, sorry, Kristen, because we had the war 30 years ago, and now in this war, environment, people are really stuck, even though it was 30 years ago, still all this do have influence on our mind. We are traumatized people, and that's why I think we will need more time, but we will not give up. This is the future. This is the right direction, and thank you guys for having us here.
Thank you. Maybe one quick question to follow up on that, because you mentioned that in your presentation, you're not part of the EU yet. How important would you think Europe would be by supporting your cause? Because like in Germany, everything that comes from the European Commission, everyone is like, oh, something else. But now you have like the other perspective. Would you say, well, if we would be part of Europe and we would have to deal with this regulation, we would crack more people to go to make the right move?
Definitely, accession to the EU will completely change the environment. And this is, unfortunately, in this moment, politically, it's not supported. You know that I'm also a member of parliament and I'm fighting in that direction. And that will help for sure, because if we're talking about legislations for energy efficiency, it is actually written in 2011 and adopted in 2017. So imagine what you had in 2011, we still have here. So in that frame, it's really not easy. But I think that we will find a way to actually recognize some of the investors who would like to be different and to actually have a prestige in that. And once when we start, I'm sure, step by step, people will understand. Of course, EU accession will help, but to be honest, after all these years, it wouldn't be so easy and fast, unfortunately.
Okay. So maybe, Maksym, over to you. You're in a country which still has to fight a war, unfortunately, but we've done already several trainings. I think Levan has been to Ukraine twice, 3 times. I know he told me he's going to go back. So this is, how important is that to the community there? I mean, I think that might be surprising for many people who are not from the Ukraine, that there are people taking the time and say, hey, we're going to do, I'm going to participate in a training around sustainability in a country which is still fighting a war.
Yes, it's maybe difficult to explain. Sanela mentioned this, that we definitely all traumatize already people and additionally passing through this now. And but life doesn't stop because of this. It's like still happening, and all terrible things and good things, they are happening at the same time, all the same time. And because we cannot pause our lives, we need to think about the future. And all educated people and all people who want working for good for country and in general for all people of the world, they understand sustainability is our not the only choice. And that is why it is, yes, trainings are getting attention and people are very interested to participate in this. Even they could happen in, for example, it could be interrupted by air raid alarm and such things. But because all things mixed, it changed in reality nothing. People are still willing to learn, to participate, and to do whatever is possible. Capacities are limited because at the moment only projects who are essentially valuable are developing. Like it's surviving mode, and this of course limiting community. That's what we have.
Yeah. No, but and what would you say? Because I said, and I'm talking to members of ours. I just sent you yesterday an email where a large company wants to join the Ukraine Green Building Council. Is that something you would say that would help us at least? Kind of like get that outside support, or?
Yes, yes, definitely, absolutely. Yeah, we need members, and I believe members need such organization as Green Building Council. It's mutual collaboration, mutual development, and for sure, such member, especially such member, could change perception of this movement. Sometimes I meet perceptions that, again, because of this survival mode, people are in companies are very pragmatical. They are like, is this increase our sales right now? If not, they are maybe not so interested. But again, for companies looking forward-looking and which have stable business models, they are interested, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, and let's say, unfortunately, many companies still hide behind their business models, even if, there's peace in the country. So, but I think this is why these exchanges are very valuable, to see different perspectives. We now have a question in the chat, which is a bit in a different direction, but maybe Tanjja and Sanela have a perspective on that, because I know, Tanjja, the EU legislation is something that applies in Croatia. I know the EU taxonomy topic there's not so much demand, not yet, which is very different, I think, across Europe on how companies and banks and insurance companies are using the EU taxonomy. Now we have a question in times of AI, artificial intelligence. Do you see that maybe helps to kind of lower the barrier of, I need to know so much, I need to understand so much? Is that something your organizations have been looking at, or do you say this is our challenges are somewhere else and AI is not really helping us there? I don't know if you have a perspective on that.
Well, I think that AI definitely helps day-to-day in work, but we don't use it as much because our area of expertise is not something that AI still can understand and help with. I don't know if you agree with that. So we are learning AI regarding different topics and things like that. But what we were saying before, maybe it's a little bit tougher. For example, here in our Green Building Council, we have, I think, around 14 EU-funded projects. I think that these days everybody is using AI, so it's a little bit harder to receive grants from EU programs. Maybe that is something that we see in the last year, but working with members, especially in our region, Sanela knows this the best. We are working face to face. We need to come up with different benefits all the time, with great results. We know who is important to whom. So if we are bringing together investors and developers, and they want to showcase their projects because they want to put themselves on the better position on the market and say, okay, we are DGNB certificated, we have a EU taxonomy certificate, so on. Then architects will come, designers will come, civil engineers will come because they need investors, and then manufacturers will come because they need architects and different designers. So it's all about doing the best you can and adapting on a daily, weekly basis. Everything is changing. We are EU member, of course. We are now talking a lot about implementation, of course, of EPBD directive. That's a very big topic, affordable housing. So there's a lot of topics that we can contribute. So we are very happy that very often ministries, decision makers, different organizations, public sector, not only industry, is calling us to try to explain them what is happening. And the best part of that is that we can use a lot of from DGNB because it's very advanced. So everything then is great together to be put together. But AI as such, you can't think what to offer. Every company is different, every director is different. Somebody wants networking, somebody wants only visibility, somebody wants I don't know, 15 meetings with other members. So it's very different, and you have to be all the time on thinking what is the next and what they want.
Thank you. That's a very good, let's say, closing remark. Thanks to all three of you. I think, discussion is crucial, personal exchange is crucial. So I'm looking very much forward to seeing you all again in person soon. So thank you very much. Again, to our audience, join them as a member. Now we have your contact details, otherwise we will follow up. So thank you very much, Maksym. Stay safe, all the best, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.